Hi, it's Alexis, the Avoidant therapist. My job is to help you in your relationship, and because I care about you, I'm willing to tell you something quite tough. If right now you're the only one doing the work, it's not love. If you feel you have to work hard to repair this relationship, to save what you had, it's not love. It's emotional labor. And in this video, I want to share with you 5 red flags that you need to be aware should you want to walk away from this relationship with an avoidant partner. Don't get me wrong, I used to be dismissive avoidant, and there's nothing wrong in dating someone dismissive avoidant. However, if this relationship doesn't work for you, it's important to understand how you can choose yourself first, because that's what matters. It's not about him, it's not about her, it's not about the relationship, it's also about you. And in this video, I want to share with you the few things you need to assess. Also give you kind of a checklist of things you need to be able to tick should you want to stay in the relationship, to save the relationship. Otherwise, it's time to walk away. I'll explain everything after the jingle. Let's start with a difficult question. If nothing changed in the next 12 months, would you still be happy in this position? Would you still accept being where you are, doing the work, feeling it's a one-sided relationship? Now, the thing is, usually you know this answer. Sometimes people call me and they need to hear this answer. So I have few discovery calls every week with people who want to call me, discuss with me their situation, or whenever they want to get into one of the programs. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes I see and I ask this question. And people feel a change in how they see things. Because after a breakup, you're very much in the urgency. Right now, my job is to help you take some distance, look at the big picture. Of course, right now you're involved, you're invested, and don't get me wrong, if you can repair this relationship, if you can save this relationship, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's important to assess if things remain the same the next 12 months, even 6 months, what would you do? I'll let you reflect on this, and I move on to the next question, to the next part of the video with this: why it's so hard to leave. And of course, when you're in my position, not involved in this relationship, not having feelings with your partner, it's very easy for me to tell you, just walk away, right? The other day, actually not the other day, just before recording this video, I had a call with a very lovely lady, and I told her the easiest answer for me, and her situation was specific, it depends on cases, but it's always easier for me to tell people, hey, just move, just walk away, right? Because it seems that it's one-sided, it seems that it's not working out, it's maybe 10% chance of you getting back together. The easiest answer is to walk away. So it's not that easy. And I think walking away, you have ways of walking away. So the reason it's so hard is you have this reinforcement that I discussed in some of my videos around the phenomenon of addiction in our brain when we have intermittent reinforcement, the on and off, the highs and lows, etc. Also, you're chasing the memory, you're chasing the potential of the relationship. You're projecting something that you had, perhaps at the beginning, a history, maybe you went together for 10, 20 years, and of course it's very hard to let go of that. My point is to tell you right now what's going on, right? And can we fix this now? Not about the first few months of the relationship, not about the weekends, the romantic holidays or stuff like that, right now. There's also an element, the cognitive bias called the sunk cost fallacy. So when you're invested in something, you are more motivated to save it than to earn it. So we are twice as much motivated to save something for the same amount than earning the same amount. The point here is to tell you that obviously you're not the only one watching this video, and I'm sure this video will have tons of views, and if it doesn't, it's because you haven't shared or you haven't liked the video, so please do like the video and subscribe. I always forget to mention that you can subscribe, and that does help me a lot as well in sharing that content to help people in similar situations than yours. You're not weak, it's just that your brain is wired for attachment. Especially if you have an anxious attachment style, your brain, we are all wired to be attached to a primary attachment figure. So a breakup is basically a situation where we feel some of our core needs has been removed. It's a little bit like as I would remove your house or take away food or shelter in your life. So it feels like, of course I need to fight for it. The challenge is to be smarter than your chimp brain and start to rationalize things, start to take that distance, to analyze the situation, and that's what we will do in this video. Red flag number 1 is emotional neglect in a chronic way. So anytime you text them, it feels like extremely painful. You're walking on eggshells. Anytime you say something important, when you open your heart, there's just like very distant, cold response. As if you're not speaking the same language, right? And it's very important to assess like, okay, is it you? Are you too needy, too emotional? And sometimes that's the case. And it's important to have the right support to assess where you are and develop a secure form of communication. So when I work with my clients in assessing and making sure that we walk away on the right terms, it's about defining the secure base, creating that secure base for the relationship, and then assess whether as we develop things with our partner, that person is matching our investment. The very common for avoidance is struggling with empathy. So in theory, we are all social animals and we are able to be empathetic with people. Now, avoidant, they have a tendency to feel like being empathetic is a waste of time because we can't connect at an emotional level. That's not an excuse. I used to be dismissive avoidant, and maybe I didn't have strong emotional intelligence when I was in my 20s, but I had this element of curiosity. Especially if someone I cared about was crying or in distress, I wouldn't push them away, but I would try to be curious of what's going on. So maybe I wouldn't relate necessarily, but I will ask myself like, why are they feeling this way? So we're going to talk about curiosity in a second, but it's very important. It's not because I don't understand you that I'm not able to be curious and try to see, especially if they're adults, and they know it's important and they value the relationship. You have every right to expect them to be curious and interested and try to see the relationship or try to make one step towards you. Red flag number 2 is the accountability. Whenever they apologize, it's about deflecting things. They're not really serious. They don't see that they take things seriously. Even though when you have, and again, that's based on having a secure base, you're being calm and composed and you talk effectively. And despite having those feedback, establishing those boundaries, you don't feel like, again, you're on the same page. Sometimes they would promise things. Words have no value, literally no value whatsoever in those situations. What matters is the action. The other day I was helping a client. She was trying to make sense. She's dating now. She's not trying to get back with her ex. And she was reading the text of the guy she was dating. I was like, I don't care about the text. What I care is how he treats you when you see each other. Whether he initiates. I don't care that he says that he might fall in love. It's BS. And by analyzing the conversation, by analyzing his behavior, it was clear that was not the right person for her. So the question is like, again, assessing the word, but really taking it with a pinch of salt and assuming that it's meaningless unless you get actions. It's followed by action. Red flag number 3 is defensiveness. Okay, so avoidant, they have obviously a tendency to push everything away, to dismiss things, dismissive avoidant, and you will be met by sarcasm, shut down. Again, everything is serious. Every time you try to explain something, instead of being curious, they will continue to be in their fixed mindset. This is how I see things, and that's the right way, and that's the only way. If you're trying to be in a relationship with someone who only sees his or her own way, you are wasting your time. As simple as that. Anytime you have a tough conversation, and again, having a tough conversation comes at the end of the process of trying to reconcile with someone. You create that secure base first, you establish intimacy, starting slowly but surely, and then you have more difficult conversation because at the end of the day, you're here to repair, you're here to fix things, you're here to design the right relationship, the next relationship with this person. If your partner is not curious about your world, is not interested in speaking your language, because I think at the end of the day, you can talk about attachment style, you can talk about love. It's really about love language. It's really about the language. We speak the same language. And of course, you will never speak the same language as your partner. And it's fine. But you need to be curious. In my book, it's called Pragmatic Empathy, having the curiosity to understand their world, understand your world, so you can also help them communicate with you. So usually people don't have a communication problem, they have an understanding problem. Once you understand yourself and your partner, communication becomes easy. Red flag number 4, you're doing all the repair. And I started with this, and this is the most common one. You're the one planning dates. You're the one initiating the text. You're the one reading books, watching videos, amazing videos from therapist. But every time it's serious, every time it gets real, oh, I need space. I'm not sure. I need to reflect. Don't put your life on pause when they are trying to figure out things. Again, I don't mind people reflecting and they need time to reflect. But what are they doing with this time? If they are seeing a therapist, great. If they're just asking you, I need some time to reflect, it's too early, let me think. And you see them, being focused at work, doing things to get busy, but not doing the work, that time apart, that distance is useless. Okay? So if it's one way, if it's one-sided relationship, obviously it's not going to work. And whether your relationship can be saved there's no correlation with the amount of effort you put in if on the other side there's no effort at all. See it a little bit like a multiplication. So if it's like 1 million times 0, it's still 0. Just came up with this. I think it's a very good thing, because if you have a little bit of effort, yes, you can do a lot, but still would be imbalanced and it can't be sustained. But in order to repair the relationship, yes, you can do a lot of effort, but if it's 0 effort on the next, on the part of your partner, still 0. Red flag number 5 is future talk is always vague. Someday, maybe, moving in. So avoidance, they have a hard time obviously committing, and committing is about the future. Like if I choose you, if I choose this relationship, I don't choose anything else. Even to this day, I struggle with holidays commitment. So usually what we do with my wife is that we booked holidays, but then it's very hard for me to plan and figure out what I want. So, too long in advance. So now I have, we have a protocol on how to plan things a bit ahead, and I force myself to plan ahead because she actually prefers things to be planned ahead. And it's a form of fear of commitment from my end, of like I don't know what I want to do, and I'll see when I'll be there. Obviously, when you have kids, that doesn't work out. So that's why now I'm learning on how to be more thoughtful about those things and plan ahead. Again, cancellation, last minute, giving excuse, etc. What it tells you, it's not about them not being ready. It means they are still with this commitment limbo. That's what we'll get eventually, right? So if you have those signs, again, look at those red flags. These signs, these red flags are signs that actually what you're trying to recover is not possible. It's not the right decision for you. You can use this checklist to clarify things in your mind. Have you clearly expressed your needs? Twice. Make sure you've expressed those needs. Have you been consistent for at least 4 to 6 weeks? Because the thing is, repairing a relationship, getting back with someone, trying things out is not something where you send one text, you have 2 conversations, you meet twice. When I work with my clients, it's usually a period of 12 weeks. First of all, do work on your end, on your part, and then, or simultaneously, try things with that person. And very quickly, you have a clear idea. Did you also, were you sort of strict and assertive on your boundaries? Again, it's important to be secure at that stage. So it's not about threats, not about ultimatum, but it's about boundaries. Respectful boundaries in line with what you need and what you and making sure that you filter out what you don't need. If you answer no on those 3, you have your answer. If you're not sure and you're lazy, have a look in the description. I put together an assessment specifically designed for people who date avoidant to figure out whether they could save their relationship, because I don't want you to waste time. I care about you. I don't want you to waste time chasing something that's not working. And again, I used to be dismissive avoidant. So it's not a question of them being avoidant. You can get back with an avoidant partner. That's not the point. The point is making sure that it's the right avoidant or the right person, the right partner. So have a look. It's totally free. And it gives you a score, and also, depending on your score, some tips and things you can start working on. Walking away step by step. So how to do it? It's kind of a contract with yourself. You state the decision to your partner, to yourself. It's not about ultimatum. It's not about blame. You're not saying this to make them react. And once it's done, it's done. That's your closure. Obviously, getting to that point sometimes requires a lot of work, and that's most of the work that I do with my clients. Is helping you go and achieve a place where I'm in charge of that closure. I've done my part. I'm now convinced that this person is not right for me. At this stage, we had an amazing relationship. I love this person. I still have feelings for this person, but they're just not right for me. And then it's about the follow-ups, removing their names, not necessarily the names, but unfollowing them on social media, removing any sort of things that will remind you of them, focusing yourself on friends, hobbies, gym, like really keeping yourself busy. And one thing that I found is that's quite helpful is to journal things. That's usually what we do with my clients, so they have a clear idea, but if we don't work together, which is fine, by the way, I don't blame you. Journal the reasons, because sometimes we are convinced one day, like, I know it's the right thing to do, I know I don't want this relationship, and then we feel nostalgic. We idealize the relationship. We are back to the first slides that I told you about. So refer back to this journal. Chip brain, analytical brain. The analytical brain needs to win this fight. And one way to do that is to take that piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a book, just a one-pager of like all the reasons, all the work that you've done, the insight that you've learned, that you discovered about yourself, about the relationship, to challenge those thoughts that are pretty much unconscious based on that fear of abandonment usually. So now it's about regaining freedom. You need to shift this I'm losing this relationship to actually you're freeing yourself from being anxious, dwelling on the past, not having any notification on your phone that triggers you all the time, feeling that you walk on eggshells. Now your energy, your personality is to be with friends and have people around you that feeds this energy, that makes you feel alive, that are positive. Because maybe you stayed in that situation where that was draining your energy, your mood. So right now, be the magnet, right? And attract people who are positive, right? Because like you were fighting hard, you were trying hard. When you have good friends, when you do things that you like, it doesn't feel like work. And that's what you need to focus on. That's the support system you need to establish right now. And of course, grief is not linear. Things will go back and forth. You'll have days where you feel sad, days where you feel depressed, but the point is to look at the trajectory. And every single week, every single month, you'll feel better than the week before and then the month before. If, again, another one to, again, really make it sink in. The fact that you fight, the fact that you want to repair the relationship, again, that's great, but it's not love. It stops to be love when there's no reciprocity, when you're the only one doing the work. I mentioned emotional gymnastics. That's not love. Love needs to feel simple. Yes, you need to work on the relationship. Yes, you need to have difficult conversations. Yes, you need to commit. Yes, you need to learn how to argue and not always be right. But it shouldn't feel like I'm working on eggshell. It shouldn't feel like emotional gymnastics where you can't be yourself. Walking away is not giving up. It's actually exiting the game you never agreed to play it. And that's the most important thing. It's realizing that this game you're trying to play is not the one you need. It's not the one you want. Choose you. That's the only things that matter. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.